get people talking about it because it means so much more than physically wearing your label on your shirt. It means to take ownership over whatever struggle you're going through and to really live that. We try to create conversations around mental health through our designs. Every piece is designed by somebody affected by mental illness. We use little details like the tags, which not only tell you how to wash and take care of your garment, but how to take care of yourself. We have a zero Photoshop policy, and we also don't have gender categories on our website. So we cast role models instead of fashion models. They have to apply based on their story, and we ask them to be really open about their mental health and why raising awareness for this issue is important to them.
We use fashion to create conversations and visibility about mental health. So when you break your arm, you get this cast, and it's a symbol to the world that I'm hurt, but I'm healing. There's no cast for mental illness.
Having the support from RBC has been huge. I think it's one of those things where you just really feel validated that what you're doing is making an impact. My someday is a world where the stigmatization around mental health doesn't exist, and initiatives like mine don't have to either. I think that it just takes one spark, one person, one conversation to realize that you can be so much more than whatever struggle you're going through. This is for the
all the garments here. Kind of cool. I mean, that someone affected by mental illness is designing something specifically for you.
So welcome to the studio. We've been in the space for a few months now, and this is where all the magic is happening. Last week, we were picked up by the Today Show, People Magazine, BuzzFeed, MTV, Cosmopolitan, 17 Magazine, Hello Giggles. It's hard to actually comprehend what is happening at this point.
To be honest, we haven't actually stopped smiling all week. We have people that have been following us for months now just come in and visit and say oh my gosh, I saw you on the Today Show.
And then the orders started coming in. After all of this press happened, we were totally sold out of everything and now have hundreds of back orders that we need to fill. So we called our friends and we're having a big packing party, doing screen printing, packaging, making sure that everything is good to go out to fill these orders for all of our new customers.
Yeah, so Thank you to everyone from different news sites to followers to customers to people who shared their story with us over the last week. And for those who've worn their label regardless of our clothing, there's lots of people who already talk about their vulnerabilities and who already open up and share everything about their personal mental health struggles. So you know what, if we can help you sometimes articulate that a little bit better through clothing, then we will continue to do what we do.
Thank you so much for all of the orders, all the love. Please stay connected with us on social media at Wear Your Label and wearyourlabel.com. Is that good?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to say? Just thank you to everyone here. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. That looks great.
Cool.
That's a wrap.
I am rolling.
So Emma. Okay, so again, why don't you
I'm jealous. I'm going to step out here for a second, but see all those people getting their hair done? That's really unfair. And now I have to get up here. Anyways, hello, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming out today to support this really exciting cause, an important cause for everybody. So we're getting things underway. Appreciate you taking your time out of your schedule and coming here this afternoon. But it's, like I say, very important, and you know, well-being is a big issue for all of us. So thanks for coming. A couple of housekeeping items going to take place here. This is going to be broadcast live to the other campuses this afternoon. So thanks for our guests for coming in and taking care of that for us. Following our guest speaker, Kaylee Reed, thank you for coming. There will be a live demo of the Wellbeing app. So our IT people are going to be here to help make sure everybody can get on onto the app, and if there's any problems with any difficulties, so on and so forth, we'll take care of that. They have any questions, or if you have any questions, they can answer them for you. In the event there are technical difficulties with the presentation for the other people today, it's going to be, this will be recorded, so we'll be able to look at it later. I think we're going to have that online somewhere, Luke? Is that correct? Great, good stuff. So, all that out of the way, stop looking at me and look at some really important people. Thanks, everybody. We hope you enjoy.
If what I am is what's in me, then I'll stay strong, that's who I'll be. And I will always be the best me that I can be. There's only one me, I admit. Have the dream, I'll follow it. It's up to me to try. Oh, I'ma keep my head up high. Keep on reaching high. I'm never gonna quit, I'll keep getting stronger. And nothing's gonna bring me down. Never gonna stop, gotta go. Because I know I'll keep getting stronger. And what I am is and what I am is and what I am is smart. And what I am is and what I am is and what I am is there's nothing I can't achieve because in myself I believe in those. Gonna keep our heads up high. Keep on reaching high. Never gonna quit, just keep getting stronger. Ain't nothing gonna bring us down. Never giving up, gotta go. Because I know I'll keep getting stronger. What I am is what I am is what I
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Suzanne de Rosier, and I'll be your MC for the afternoon. So as Vice President of Employee and Student Development at NBCC, it's my privilege to welcome you here. One of our commitments is to create a great place to work and learn, and we are proud today to host an event that will foster the well-being of our students and staff. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge everyone at our location who are tuning in right now to the live broadcast. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to Marilyn Luscombe, our President and CEO, who is here with us today. I'd also like to welcome Kaylee Reed. Thank you, Kaylee, for being our guest of honor today. A few housekeeping items before we begin. Phones. Use them. We encourage you to tweet and post about this talk on social media. We can use the hashtag #YouCanBeWell to join in the conversation, but be sure to tag @MyNBCC. Today is a great day to take a break and reflect on our well-being. We're all affected. The impact of mental illness will touch all Canadians at some point in their lives, through a family member, a friend, or a colleague. 1 in 5 Canadians will personally experience a mental illness. Mental illness affects people of all ages, educational and income levels, and cultures, but it is estimated that 2 out of 3 people suffer in silence, fearing judgment and rejection. We hope this event will help raise awareness and create a discussion about mental well-being at NBCC. If you're facing challenges to your mental well-being, we want you to know you're not alone and that there are supports to help you be well. To bring remarks on behalf of the NBCC community, please join me in welcoming our President and CEO, Marilyn Luscombe.
Thank you, Suzanne. As we get underway, I want to welcome and thank the many NBCC staff across the college who work every single day to provide quality education and support the success of our students. Your mental well-being is important, and we want to create an environment that supports you. You are also role models for our students. So I thank you for raising awareness about mental well-being. Welcome to all the students in the audience here and across NBCC. This time of the year can be really stressful. Okay, let's be honest. The entire college experience can be stressful. Thank you for taking the time to be here and putting your well-being first. Also, many thanks to our colleagues at Post-Secondary Education, Training and Labor for supporting mental well-being awareness and for providing their support as we embark on our college's first ever day for mental well-being awareness. Sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in what's happening, work, family, studies, etc., that we don't notice other aspects of our lives and health that are not getting the attention they deserve. Today, I ask you to take a pause and take a moment to think about your mental well-being. Maintaining your well-being is such an important part of your life journey. At NBCC, we have recognized this, and we are striving to do everything we can to support you. Which brings us to why we're here today. We are delighted and honored to have Kaylee Reed join us to share her experiences and insights to help shape today's conversation about mental well-being. Kaylee is one of the co-creators of Wear Your Label, along with fellow New Brunswicker Kyle McNiven. Wear Your Label is a clothing and accessories line promoting mental health awareness. Since launching in 2014, the clothing line has captured the interest of media, fashion, and youth. Last year, Kaylee and Kyle unveiled their Spring 2016 collection for New York Fashion Week. They were also selected to join the Joe Fresh Center for Fashion Innovation. The center is a Toronto-based business incubator that fosters the growth of startup companies in sectors like fashion, beauty, and technology. The sky's the limit for Wear Your Label. They have played an important role in breaking down the stigma associated with mental illness. On that note, and as we start a conversation at New Brunswick Community College about mental well-being, please join me in welcoming Kaylee Reid.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me here today. It was really cool to see those videos. I haven't actually watched them in a little while. They're a few months old. And as I was sitting in my chair, this is going to sound so corny, but I promise it's true. As I was sitting in my chair watching those videos, it really reminded me of how far I've come and how far this conversation has come. Just 2 years ago, I would not be up here talking about my mental health journey. I was such a different person, and so it's really neat to see how much this movement has grown. So today I'm going to share a little bit about my personal story, as well as the story of Wear Your Label and how all of this came to be and really what we're hoping to achieve at the end of the day. So who am I? I was always the perfect child. I was the eldest of 3 siblings, my parents' absolute pride and joy. I grew up in a small town in Alberta, and I moved here all across the country to go to university and study a Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Leadership Studies, which is basically a really fancy way of saying a leadership degree program. But I was really excited to move to Fredericton, to get out of my small town and come to what I thought at the time was a big city. So I landed here in Fredericton, started my degree at Renaissance College, and on the outside, it looked like everything in my life was going perfectly. I was in a great degree program, I was getting straight A's, I had an awesome boyfriend, I had great friends. But the reality is that I would find myself many nights curled up in a ball on the edge of my dorm room bed, crying myself to sleep. And I was miserably unhappy. And this went on for a while, and finally it got to the point where I realized that I needed to get some help. So thankfully, being in the university system, we had access to the Student Help Center, and I booked my appointment with the doctor. And as much as I didn't want to give somebody the opportunity to tell me that I was in fact imperfect, I took that appointment and sat down in the chair. And while I felt like I was being examined and analyzed, at the end of the conversation, she writes me a prescription and tells me that I have depression. And I walk out, and a lot of people will tell you that getting a diagnosis is some sort of relief or like a big weight off of their shoulders. But for me, it was the exact opposite, because this was finally somebody telling me that I did in fact have flaws, and I wasn't ready to hear that. So for a while, for a long time actually, I kept it a secret. And the good thing about that entire scenario was that I was the only person who knew about my own mental illness, and so I was able to hide it. So I put on this face, and I continued to put on that perfect image. My family didn't know, my friends didn't know, I didn't even tell my roommates at the time. And so for 2 years that went on, and over 2 years my depression slowly developed into an eating disorder, and that became a lot more severe. The best way I can describe having an eating disorder is it's like fighting a war in which the opponent's strategy is to convince you that the war isn't happening. So I was fighting a war against my mind, and a lot of the times the eating disorder would win. But there's a few things that finally helped me come to terms with what I was dealing with and really changed everything in my life. The first is that I was accepted to do a master's at a really prestigious fashion school in New York City. And coming from a small town in Alberta, I had always dreamed of moving to the big city and doing something amazing. And so being accepted to this master's program at Parsons School of Design seemed to be like everything was falling into place and that things would be okay. The second is that I actually started seeing help. So rather than just taking my medication, I began to go to group counseling. And I started to see a nutritionist and a psychologist and a counselor, and the list goes on. But the biggest thing for me was meeting other people who got it. Other people that could relate to what I was going through and had actually experienced it themselves. And so being in those group counseling sessions, as much as I was in denial about what I was experiencing, that was kind of the first time that I really realized that I wasn't alone in what I was struggling with. And that was huge for me. And the third is that I found a new passion. And so in my last year of university, I had the opportunity to do a co-op program with a mental health organization here in Fredericton. And through that program, I was developing workshops for middle school students around mental health and talking about mental health and why it's okay to talk about mental health. And at the time, it was a little bit hypocritical of me because I still hadn't told a lot of people in my life what I was struggling with. But working at that organization is where I met Kyle, who is now my business partner. But Kyle is somebody who was very open about his mental illness. And within the first 1 or 2 times of me meeting him, had told me about his anxiety disorders and his ADHD and therapy sessions he would go to and mindfulness exercises he would do. And being around somebody like that is really kind of what helped me open up about my own mental health as well. Because when somebody creates that safe space through that conversation, you kind of feel safer to open up about your own experiences. And so one night we were talking over dinner, working on a workshop for a mental health thing that we were doing at a school later that week, and we came up with this idea. What if we could replicate these really meaningful one-on-one conversations that we have with other people who get it, but on a larger scale? And both being lovers of fashion and both being very naive about what it takes to do anything like run a business, we decided that maybe starting a clothing line that would encourage these conversations and bring this issue to light was the best way to do that. And so we created Wear Your Label, this is where I was born, and thought, hey, maybe the clothing that we wear every day can help be a part of this change that we want to create. And so Wear Your Label was born, and the idea has developed and grown and pivoted and changed so much since we first started, but that's really all it was an idea at the moment. And we somehow convinced professors to let us use Wear Your Label as a case study in school, so we got credit to work on it after school, and then we got accepted to a business accelerator program where we got funding to launch our first collection. And by the end of that summer, after I had graduated, I had finally become a lot more comfortable talking about my mental illness. Because when you run a company that's about talking about mental illness, you kind of have to be. So finally, I had found myself at that point, and we were at a little bit of a crossroads because the summer for this program was over, the funding had finished, we had released our first collection, we had maybe sold 35 t-shirts. And I had plans to go to Parsons, and Kyle had plans to go back to graduate school. And we sat down and we said, look, if we don't keep working on this, we probably will never get a chance to really see it through. And we made the really hard decision to put off school and dive into Wear Your Label full-time, 100%, not knowing what we were doing or having really any clue of how to make it work other than knowing we were both super passionate about creating these conversations and knowing that there was the potential to maybe make a really big impact. And so we built this brand that focuses on encouraging conversations around mental health and bringing this invisible issue to light. through the clothing we wear every day, but also by giving back to different mental health organizations like the one that we worked at. And a lot of the brand is comprised of these little details that really make it what it is. So the designs are, of course, statement pieces and conversation starters, but also meant to act as personal reminders of hope for whoever's wearing it. Because sometimes you just need that reminder that it's okay not to be okay. Little things like the tags, which not only tell you how to wash and take care of your garment, but also how to take care of yourself. And things like role models, where we don't always cast fashion models. Instead, we cast people who are personally affected by mental illness, and the only restriction to applying is you have to be brave enough to share your story with our followers and on our blog. So we worked on this idea of wear your label for probably 8 months, screen printing and sewing the tags on every single garment that went out from our online store. And we got to this point 8 months down the road where we had been doing it for so long and really felt like there was never going to be much traction. And especially when you live with mental illness, I mean, as much as I'm a lot better now with my eating disorder, mental illness is something that will follow you throughout all aspects of your life. And even when you're better or healthier, you're never going to be 100% recovered. And I think that that's something that is left out of this conversation, is that you need to maintain your mental health every single day. It's not like you can just, put a Band-Aid on it and it'll be better for next week. And so we were at that point where we were really lost and not sure if what we were doing was really making that big of an impact. And then what we call the BuzzFeed era happened. And we got a call from a reporter at the Today Show. And she said, I really love what you guys are doing. I want to feature your story on today.com. And we thought this was like the most amazing, the sun was shining through, the angels were singing, and everything was coming together. And so we took that call, and within the week, we had probably 24 other international media outlets who had contacted us for interviews, who wanted to set up phone calls, and everything that you had seen in the previous video happened very, very, very quickly. And soon we had hundreds of back orders, and it was really amazing, but it was also really scary because we were 2 kids from New Brunswick who had never run a real business before and were manufacturing all of the clothing ourselves. And so we took that summer to completely regroup and rearrange our supply chain and manage everything that had just happened. But the most amazing thing that we got out of that experience was not the sales, was not, the stores reaching out, and that stuff is great, but it was the messages from people all around the world who would email us through our website or message us on Instagram or through Twitter and say, I just read your article on BuzzFeed. I've never spoken up about my depression. I've been suffering for 7 years, but reading your story, I finally feel confident enough to go tell my daughter or to talk to my mom or go see a doctor or whatever it was, that next step. And we would get hundreds of these emails, and it was the most exhilarating experience of my life. And that was really the moment where we realized that so many people are affected by mental health, by mental illness, and we are not alone in this. This has potential to make a lot of change and to create a lot of conversations. And so just as we thought all of the madness was over, we got a call from New York Fashion Week. And one of the event organizers had seen us in one of the articles, was really impressed by our story, and wanted us to do a show during New York Fashion Week in September, which was our spring 2016 show. And so we said yes without, again, knowing anything of what we were doing, because you don't say no to New York Fashion Week. And we knew going into it that we couldn't compete on design or on fashion because we're really not technical designers. But we knew that we had to bring a really strong mental health message to light in this industry that's very notorious for making people's mental health worse. And so what we did was we put out a national casting call for role models to walk at our New York Fashion Week show, which are the role models that you see in the video. And we got applications from Moncton to Chicago to New York. People flew in to walk for us. We had to narrow it down to 20 really amazing individuals who all had significant mental health stories that they had overcome and were willing to share. And we wrote a script, which was my story, my personal mental health story, as well as the story of Wear Your Label, and entangled the stories of these role models in the script. And the script was performed as a spoken word piece throughout the entire New York Fashion Week show. So that's the part you don't get to see in the show or in the video, but it was a really emotional experience. And what we've always wanted when we do events like that is to help provide a platform and tools for individuals to feel brave enough to share their story, whether it's our clothing, whether it's walking at Fashion Week, whether it's, you know, giving them a card with our order, whatever it is. It's providing something extra so that it's not just a package to them, it's not just clothing, it's something they can go out and do something more with. And the day that we had our show at New York Fashion Week, I remember walking in Times Square and getting this call from Toronto. I was on my way to rehearsal, get this call from Toronto. It's the Joe Fresh Center for Innovation. They want us to be in the program this fall, which at the time it was September. And we have to move within 2 weeks, relocate the business, and start this program to be mentored by Joe Fresh in Toronto. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing, but it's also so scary because at the time, like, Fredericton was our home. We started everything here. We had so much support here from local entrepreneurship programs and organizations in the city. And so we did a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors, and Kyle decided to move to Toronto full-time to work out of the Joe Fresh Center. And this is the center. And so this was a really big move for us because not only were we being accepted to work in this program and get all this amazing mentorship, but it was really one of those validating moments that the fashion industry is paying attention to mental health. And it's no longer just us creating these conversations within the mental health world or with our friends or family, but penetrating that industry of people who usually don't get it and finally getting them to get it. And so that was a really big moment for us and has been a really exciting journey. And this May, we're actually going to be doing a pop-up collaboration with Joe Fresh. So we're going to be in a number of their stores throughout Canada, which is really exciting. So that's kind of been the big project that's come out of that. But at the end of the day, we kind of always come back to why we started this. And we've done a lot of really amazing things, and all these great opportunities have come up, but it's not about us, and it's not about my story, it's not about Kyle's story. What it's really about is getting these conversations rolling and giving people hope and helping them realize that they're not alone in whatever they're going through. Because I've been there, and I get it, and I know how hard it can be to be in that place where you don't want to reach out and you don't want to even get out of bed that day. But I think one of the most important things that you can do is start that first conversation. And every single conversation, when we add them all up, is going to create a lot of change. And so if I can leave you with one thing, just please know that you don't need to start a business or create this giant mental health campaign or even volunteer 50 plus hours, at a mental health organization. All of those things are amazing. All of those things are going to create a lot of change. But if you only help one person and that person is yourself, that is still an amazing accomplishment. So I hope that you take the resources that you get today and from this app, and I hope that you have some time to reflect and really take care of yourself and put yourself first, because yes, all of these things matter and creating conversations matter, but if you're not here to make them happen, that's really the biggest problem. So please share your stories. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really excited for this event and the app launch.
Thank you, Kaylee, for being with us today and for sharing your amazing story, your personal story, as well as the story of you and Kyle in the creation of this incredible company. Now I want to tell you how we plan at NBCC to continue the conversation about mental well-being. Based on feedback gathered from staff and students in October 2015, NBCC Wellbeing worked with the NBCC Mobile First Technology to develop our first ever NBCC app. The app provides trusted information about mental well-being in the resources that are available through NBCC and in your communities. Before I make way for Bill McIver to introduce you to the app, I wanted to mention that this app is our first version and that we will be making improvements in the weeks and months to come as we continue to gather feedback from you, the users. Now, to walk you through the app, I'd like to invite Bill to say a few words.
Thanks. Just a few introductory remarks for our part. I'm Bill McIver. I lead the Mobile First Technology Initiative for the college. And in this role, I'm responsible for conducting applied research with industrial partners, but also for working within the college with students, staff, and faculty on the development of technologies. And I am very excited to be here today to introduce our first public app. We've developed a number of apps internally and other technologies with our partners, but this is really the first one that will be in the hands of the general public and in particular the NBCC community. It's exciting for me, one, because as most of us do, we have personal connections with mental health. For me, having a close family member who had serious mental illness, but then also a moment that I never forget, graduate of my alma mater, Morehouse College, a U.S. Surgeon General under President Clinton and President Bush, who made an announcement saying that we should no longer view mental health as being separate from other kinds of health, of medicine, that we should think of it as a part of medicine. And so that stuck with me for a long time. And in my view of the kinds of research that I like to do, I'm most concerned about addressing life-critical problems. And if this is not one, I don't know what it is. But it's exciting for me for a number of other reasons. One, because this app has been developed by graduates of New Brunswick Community College, and so it really shows the capabilities that we have within the college. It's exciting because staff and faculty have also contributed the expertise and the content for the app, and so we have that capability within NBCC. It's exciting because one of the versions of the app leverages a technology that was developed in New Brunswick called Viswick, which I'll talk about in a bit. But it is also exciting because I'm excited to meet Kaylee, and because I've been following their story for a while, and as many of you know, I study processes of innovation, and this for me is a very good example of innovation. It's not technology per se, but the idea that someone has an idea that they have the courage to take and make real is a key part of any kind of innovation. And so I hope that this is just the beginning of a relationship with your company. So the idea for the app came about from a counselor in NBCC, and the work began last summer, actually, where we developed an early mobile app prototype. And as Suzanne mentioned, NBCC Wellbeing conducted a survey of students and staff in October of last year with over 800 respondents. 72% of respondents indicated that they would be interested in an app that provides information on mental health. The survey as well as the input from the committee provided played critical roles in the development of this app. And the goal was to create an app that would provide students and staff and faculty with easy access to trusted information. That's key, trusted information about mental well-being from anywhere on their mobile device. And so what we're presenting here today is the beta version of the app. We developed three versions, or what I call distributions of the app, one for Android, one for iOS, for iPhones and iPads, and then one using the technology I mentioned called Viswick, which allows the app to run in any Chrome browser, whether it's on your laptop or your mobile device. And so today, students are able to download the beta versions of the Android and the Viswick apps from our MBCC Wellbeing site. We plan to have the iOS app in the App Store soon. I'm hoping by May, but we definitely plan to have it in the store by the next academic year and available for everyone to download. And so now I'm going to, I encourage everyone to either download or try out the apps at the different campuses. We have people at the different campuses. We have Laura here who has a couple devices here who can demonstrate the app. And so right now I'm just going to give a very brief overview of the app. So we have to change the video feed here and then put the audio in. And I think, okay. So here I'm showing two of the versions of the app. The one on the right is the Viswick version. It's essentially a Chrome app. I'm going to show the native iOS app. So this is the splash screen, and we have a number of main categories, 4 categories that were decided by the committee. This category provides basic information to either employees or students, and I'll just show one part of that. So you can go there as a student. You can look at your success team, which is comprised of counselors, advisors, and in various areas, and the student council. And so if I go to the counselors, let's say you're on the Fredericton campus and you need help, you can actually have it invoke the dialer and call up your counselor.
Good afternoon,
Hello.
MBCC Fredericton.
Hi, Kevin. This is Bill. We're calling you while we demo the app.
Yes.
This is an example, and students will be able to do this. They'll be able to select the counselor on their campus and call them up for assistance. So I'm going to hang up now, Kevin. Thank you for your help.
Very good.
Okay. And then as well, you can send an email if you want. Whatever's appropriate to your needs. There are many different areas here with critical information that the committee identified that allow students to get quick help and phone numbers or email. Some other critical areas of the app, in case of emergency, we have the access to the CHIMO hotline, where you can get expert assistance, and then a number of other links to different organizations that provide care. And so all of these links are active and can be invoked. And one area which I find perhaps the most innovative use of the app is the idea that you can, on the spot decide that you need some, you need to focus on your mindfulness, and the committee developed a number of different types of exercises. So I'll just show one. And so this is called walking meditation. And so for each exercise, there's an explanation of the exercise, its purpose, how it works, and so on. And then you can choose either a male or female voice. And since we have Luke in the room, I'm going to play his reading.
Walking meditation. Plan a short walk, intentionally slowing down your pace. Bring awareness to your surroundings. Notice the sensation in your legs and feet as they guide you.
So that's an example, and we have a female.
Walking meditation. Plan a short walk, intentionally slowing down your pace. Bring awareness to your.
So we have a number of these for the different categories, the different kinds of exercises, and so on. And then there's for a different to give the users an introduction to different areas of mental well-being, explanations of anxiety, how one can assess themselves in terms of whether they're experiencing this kind of mental well-being issue. And then also in each category there are sections on how to help oneself or others who might be experiencing this, one of these conditions. So here, how to help yourself, and then how to help others. And then, of course, we have a basic page for contacts, and then also some information on details about the development of the app. And so this is the beta version, and we plan to have it available and operational for the next academic year. Very likely will be available much sooner. So thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Bill. So I'm not really the most technically inclined person, but I just want to let you know that as Bill was walking through this, I actually downloaded the app. And at first I thought, okay, how am I going to download the app? So I just went on Google and just put NBCC Wellbeing app, and then from there just install the app, and I was actually going through the same screens as Bill. So just wanted to let you know it does work, and I was able to do it, and I'm quite proud of myself. So friends and colleagues, thank you again for being here today and sharing in this special event, which wouldn't have been possible without the hard work of the organizing committee and the app committee of students and staff. I hope you found today fun, informative, and inspiring. I do want to leave you with Kaylee's words that she gave us just a few minutes ago. If you can only help one person, help yourself. And that's an amazing accomplishment. So thank you, and have a great afternoon.